Coming up on Carolina News, cold weather or cold shoulder. With temperatures dropping, Columbia's one-night homeless shelter will be opening more often. But some homeless people say they'd rather stay on the streets. We'll tell you why. Mum's the word.
It was a private meeting, and I'm very respectful of private meetings.
Governor Nikki Haley announced a new director of the State Department of Revenue, but people couldn't stop asking about her meeting with President-elect Trump, what she had to say about the rumors. And go fight win? Beat Clemson. It's rivalry week in South Carolina.
On rivalries, anything can happen.
And for the 114th year, the Tigers and Gamecocks face off for the state title. What this means for both schools. All that and more next on Carolina News.
Live from the capital city, Carolina News brings you your news first. With breaking news and in-depth reporting. Up-to-the-minute weather. And all your sports news and highlights. It's all here, now, on Carolina News.
Hello and welcome to Carolina News. I'm Mallory Blackman.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Myers.
Temperatures in the Midlands reached freezing for the first time this season last night. And for the fourth night this season, Columbia's Inclement Weather Center opened its doors for the homeless seeking some time out of the cold. But some homeless people told our Kelsey Richardson that they feel they're getting the cold shoulder. Kelsey is live in the newsroom with more.
Thanks, Christina. There's only one inclement weather center in Columbia. It opens on nights when the temperature drops below 40 degrees and has over 200 beds. The center is owned by the city and operated by Transitions Homeless Recovery Center. Transitions offers programs to help homeless adults in the Midlands reach permanent housing and financial stability. Administrators say the Inclement Weather Center is an extension of their services.
Our goal working that center and doing it for the City of Columbia is to engage as many clients there as we can here. So we're trying to get clients to then take the next step and become clients here where they can really get intensive services and change their lives.
But I spoke with 5 homeless people at Finley Park today, and they all said there are problems with how the Inclement Weather Center works. One of their biggest complaints was with the transportation policy, which states guests can only get there by the official Inclement Weather Center bus or by police. They said this creates unnecessary restrictions and leaves some people behind. They also said they don't like the way they are treated when they are at the center. Some even said they would rather stay on the streets than go into the center. After hearing the concerns of the clients, I reached out to Transitions again to get their comment. However, they were unable to be reached. Live in the newsroom, Kelsey Richardson, Carolina News.
Wildfires have been burning in surrounding states for about 2 weeks now, causing air quality problems and sending smoke to the Midlands. The National Guard and first responders have been working hard to try to control the wildfires, but the fires are still burning in western North Carolina. The southeast has been in a drought, causing fires to spread rapidly and smoke to fill the air. In order for these fires to be put out, we need to see some rain in our forecast. Let's send it out to weather specialist Chris Malooly to find out more on what's to come. Chris?
Thanks, Mallory. We won't be seeing any rain in our forecast, but we will be seeing some warmer temperatures coming in. Right now, we're at the mid to lower 60s, so you might want to bring a jacket out, especially if you're going to be outside. Later on in the week, especially on Thanksgiving, temperatures will be ranging into the mid to upper 70s. A great day for some nice turkey, but we'll be seeing those temperatures later on. I'll tell you more later on in our show.
Gun laws were a hot topic during this election season. All the talk of potential gun restrictions caused panic among some Second Amendment supporters. Our reporter Kelly Elliott found out how the election affected gun sales.
CNN found that the FBI conducted over 1.8 million background checks for gun purchases this August. That's up 6% since August of 2015. Sean Rabin is one Second Amendment supporter who played a role in that increase. He got his concealed weapon permit in January, but didn't buy a handgun until August. He felt pressured to make the purchase before the presidential election.
I was scared that Hillary was going to become president and she would change a lot of the gun laws and make it harder to get weapons or even take them away.
Rabin was not the only one who feared stricter gun laws. Don Weisgerger, owner of Liberty Guns and Equipment, said he saw panic among his customers prior to the election. People were rushing to buy what they thought the government was going to take away from them.
Before, you couldn't get somebody to look, say, as an example, I have some very nice old Smith & Wesson revolvers. They only hold 5 or 6 shots. Prior to the election, people were not interested in that because they were afraid that, Hillary Clinton was going to take all the high-cap magazines away from them. So the only thing people were looking at and or buying was high-cap magazines.
Since the election, Weisgerger said people are more relaxed and are buying what they actually want rather than what they fear will be taken away. Although gun sales have gone down overall since Donald Trump won the election, more background checks have been conducted this year than any other year since they became required in 1998. Reporting from the newsroom, Kelly Elliott, Carolina News.
Although more background checks are being conducted, no laws have been passed to make it harder for people to get guns. Most people do pass the background check as long as they don't have any criminal history.
Governor Nikki Haley held a news conference earlier today, and our reporter Ideen Gorbani is live in the newsroom with more. Ideen?
Thanks, Mallory. Governor Nikki Haley introduced Hartley Powell as the new director of the state's Department of Revenue and spoke about the transition from current director Rick Reams. But of course, questions about the governor's meeting with President-elect Trump quickly poured in. Governor Nikki Haley took to the podium at the State House this morning alongside the current Department of Revenue director and his successor. Director Reams is leaving to return to the private sector.
I would not be leaving if I didn't feel strongly that the agency was in a much better position than it was when I started.
And Governor Haley is bringing someone from the private sector into public service.
I promise you that I will continue to build on your successes. And what I need your help and what we'll do together over the next month or so is we'll work on a seamless transition.
Governor Haley applauded Reams for his work on what she called one of the most important things.
He really took on tax fraud because that started to be a real problem in all states in the country.
She was also asked about speculation of Senator Tim Scott running for governor.
I've probably heard about 14 or 15 people that are running for governor. I am not endorsing, supporting, pushing in any way anyone from governor.
And it didn't take long to get to the question that was on everyone's mind.
When the president-elect calls and asks for a meeting, respectfully, I would absolutely not turn that down. I'm very respectful of private meetings, and so I think what happens in those meetings, it's very important to keep that private.
So is Governor Haley prepared for a potential move to Washington?
I am prepared to celebrate South Carolina and that I finally got my 46th county. I am prepared for a great Clemson-Carolina game this weekend. I am prepared to talk with people about the fires we've got going on in the state. Those are the things I'm prepared for, and those are the things that I'm focused on right now.
As expected, Governor Haley was elusive about the possibility of becoming Secretary of State. The most we learned about her next move is that she'll be heading to the Mother Emanuel Church in Charleston tomorrow for a prayer vigil. Live in the newsroom, Ideen Gorbani.
A former Gamecock will play a big role in President-elect Donald Trump's inauguration in January. Sarah Armstrong will serve as Chief Executive Officer of Trump's inaugural committee. This is not her first time working alongside a president. She served as a special assistant to President George W. Bush and Deputy Chief of Staff to First Lady Laura Bush. Armstrong received her bachelor's degree in 1994 and a master's in business administration in 1999. And coming up, how South Carolina schools are preparing students for the tech-savvy world they are growing up in. We'll have that story next.
Coming up on Carolina News, storm update. Severe storms took over the upstate last night. We spoke with one Greenville resident who saw some of the damaging effects near her home. And protests erupt. Charlotte protesters took to the streets again last night after a decision in the Keith Lamont Scott case. And going Greek. Negative press hasn't stopped the growth of Greek life. Why do students feel the need to go Greek? It's all coming up on Carolina News.
Live from the capital city, Carolina News brings you your news first. With breaking news and in-depth reporting. Up-to-the-minute weather. And all your sports news and highlights. It's all here, now, on Carolina News.
Hello and welcome to Carolina News. I'm Katie Davis.
Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Tori Moore. The Greenville area is recovering today after a series of severe storms hit the area last night. Logan Ellis is live in the newsroom with information on the destruction that followed. Logan?
That's right, Tori. Tornado warnings were issued last night as the storms traveled up Interstate 85 throughout the town of Simpsonville, knocking over trees and damaging homes.
Must be bad. I've been hearing lots of ambulances coming and going.
Simpsonville resident Alicia Brown was at home last night when she noticed her windows were shaking. She and her family took shelter in a closet to wait out the storm, then went out to assess the damage.
We saw a lot of trees that were down around the neighborhood on top of some homes as well. And so we also heard the big electrical box caught on fire. And that's what caused then the storage units, I guess, to catch fire because it was near it, is what we've been told through other neighbors.
Brown's neighborhood is a mile or two down the road from where they think the storms hit the hardest.
There's a subdivision called Remington. They said it's a brick home that has completely collapsed. So they believe that's where it actually touched down and did hit, and it wiped that out.
The damage is making it hard for people to leave or stay in their own homes.
You couldn't go through our neighborhood at one point in time because trees were on top of the roads. But yes, there's several on the house as well.
The power in Brown's area is still out and could be out until tonight. Brown told me this is the worst weather she's ever experienced and is glad the city was given alert. There have been no serious injuries reported and cleanup in the area has begun. Live in the newsroom, I'm Logan Ellis. Back to you guys in the studio.
The death toll from the wildfires in Tennessee is now up to 7 people. The fires started early Monday and have since burned hundreds of houses and businesses. Yesterday it did rain in Tennessee and the state got some relief from the fires. And now people in Tennessee are turning towards recovery efforts. Dolly Parton is contributing to the efforts with a fund for fire victims. Parton is from Tennessee and her theme park Dollywood was threatened by the flames. She says she believes charity begins at home.
We want to provide a hand up to all those families that have lost everything in the fires. And to recover, we want to make sure that the Dollywood Foundation provides $1,000 a month to all those families that have lost their homes in the fires until they get back up on their feet. I know it's been a trying time for my people, and this assistance will help.
The donations will continue for the next 6 months, and Parton is asking all the Dollywood companies to contribute to the My People Fund. Anyone who wants to join the effort can contribute online at dollywoodfoundation.org. Well, we're not seeing any crazy weather here in Columbia, but let's send it out to the Horseshoe where our weather specialist Shannon O'Connell has your first forecast. Shannon?
Thanks, Victoria. The rain that we experienced the past few days has moved its way out of the Midlands and is leaving us with the sunny skies that we see today. The high that pushed that rainstorm out is bringing in cooler temperatures both during the day and at night. And we'll see those cooler temperatures for the next week or so. And I'll tell you more about those cool temperatures and what to expect for the rest of the week in your full forecast later on in the show.
A North Carolina prosecutor says the officer who fatally shot Keith Lamont Scott will not face charges, calling the shooting justified. The decision closes a 2-month investigation into the killing that led to the heated protests and divided the city of Charlotte. And last night, protesters took to the streets once again. 4 people were arrested last night after protests in uptown Charlotte. Charlotte police say they were arrested for obstructing traffic, and 1 person was additionally charged with disorderly conduct. But police say other than those instances, they encountered peaceful protesters and lawful demonstrations. At the peak of the protest, there were between 75 and 100 protesters.
President-elect Donald Trump is making his way to Indianapolis today, along with Vice President-elect Mike Pence. Trump and Pence will announce that the air conditioning company Carrier will keep its over 1,000 jobs in the U.S., jobs that were previously headed to Mexico. From Indianapolis, Trump and Pence will head to Ohio to kick off their thank you tour to honor the supporters in the states that gave him the victory. Trump spent more than 20 days total in Ohio during his campaign. The thank you tour is expected to continue over the next few weeks, and Trump plans to visit a combination of states like Pennsylvania, Florida, North Carolina, and Michigan, though details have not been confirmed.
Deliberation for the Michael Slager trial is well into the second day. The murder trial in the Slager case ended yesterday. Slager pleaded not guilty to murder when he fatally shot Walter Scott at a traffic stop on April of last year. Both the prosecution and the defense gave their closing arguments yesterday afternoon. A dog was stolen along with a pickup truck while the owner was inside of a convenience store in Springdale. Springdale police say while the owner was inside the Circle K on Airport Boulevard, someone jumped in his car and drove off along with the man's 2-year-old lab, Sandy. The dog is a female yellow-brown eyes and was wearing a red collar with paw prints. The vehicle is a 2006 Ford, and officers say it had 3 guns stored inside. If anyone has any information, you can call Crime Stoppers at 1-888-CRIME-SC.
Columbia police are investigating after a body was found in the trunk of a car. Officials say the car was found at the 1200 block of East Muller Avenue, which is near Eau Claire High School and the Lutheran Seminary School. Police say they smelled an odor which led them to the vehicle and the body. Information about how the person died and who was found inside the car have not yet been released. Officials are searching for a person responsible for vandalizing multiple churches in Sumter County. Arthur Sharp of the Calvary Church of the Narazine said profanity and satanic symbols were sprayed onto his church and church van. Down the road, Lakewood Baptist Church was also vandalized. The damages caused a total of $3,000. If you have any information about this crime, you can call Crime Stoppers at 1-888-CRIME-SC.
South Carolina's Inspector General says potentially more than $10 million of food stamps were overpaid following last year's historic flood. Inspector General Patrick Malley reports that around $3 million of that overpayment is due to fraud, and the rest is just from errors. Over 300,000 South Carolina households received almost $100 million in food-related benefits. $21 million of that was for over 100,000 people who were automatically given food benefits from living in a disaster-declared area. Malley says the reason for the millions in overpayment is because federal guidelines don't require applicants to prove they qualify for the disaster aid. Greek systems across the country continue to have scandals and receive negative press, but fraternities and sororities continue to grow at rapid rates. Our reporter Zach Driver spoke with students to see why they felt they needed to go Greek.
Fraternity and sorority recruitment, a staple sound on college campuses across the country, and a sound that continues to get louder and larger. Greek systems are ingrained in the college culture, and every year, thousands of students join these organizations, even if some say it's not safe.
Things that I would get out of the Brotherhood with those guys would definitely, it just wasn't even a question.
Ben Eckenrod is a freshman member of Beta Theta Pi. He says he was aware of the possible danger.
Yeah, I think definitely, a lot of fraternities get on the news and stuff nowadays with a bunch of the hazing scares and stuff like that.
Despite these warnings, more and more students continue to join organizations. USC reported between 2012 and 2016, the number of Greek students rose from 20 to 27% of the student body. Alcohol and parties might be some of the stereotypical reasons to go Greek, but others say there's a lot more below the surface. Lynn Campbell is a senior member of Alpha Gamma Delta sorority. She says the skills she gained from being president will be valuable beyond college.
I mean, I had this awesome opportunity of being like a mini CEO of like a 400-person company, and just those skills are something that I'm really looking forward to take on in my life.
And there's data to support Ling. Gallup polled over 30,000 alums of Greek organizations and found 43% of Greek members are highly engaged in the workplace, compared to 38% of non-Greek students. And Ling sums it up best.
We aren't here for parties, we aren't here for drinking, we're here to make ourselves better.
Zach Driver, Carolina News.
Formal fraternity recruitment will begin in just a few short weeks. Some sororities will host events in January, but formal recruitment won't begin until August.
With holidays right around the corner, you may be thinking of buying the hottest gadgets for your loved ones. Well, recent studies show that millennials are becoming more and more addicted to technology. Our reporter Elena Chevet has more.
We rely on it every day for communication. Our eyes are glued to it, and I bet you that you have one right beside you. Technology has overtaken our daily lives regardless of age or gender. USC student Taylor David says she has to have it with her and be in the know.
You know, you start and then 2 hours later you're looking at, you know, your second cousin's removed, you know, profile, and you're like, how did I even get here? And it's a problem.
Computer science engineer graduate student Steve Rubin says this addiction is becoming the new normal.
That's actually what they describe, is that there should be some trigger which engages you back into the app. And that's what happens with all like Facebook and Twitter, because like once you pull down the timeline, you see something new.
A study conducted by Statista shows millennials rack up 18 hours of media use per day, with 3.5 hours spent browsing the internet versus only 30 minutes for reading.
I'm 26. I've noticed younger people in my classes. I feel like it's more of a just gotta have it.
Nomophobia is the rush of anxiety you feel when you have a fear of being looped or disconnected from the world. A shocking number of 58% of smartphone users can't go 1 hour without checking their phone, 68% of them being the ages of 18 through 34. Symptoms of technology addiction can be feeling anxious, constantly checking your phone, phantom cell phone vibration syndrome, or even not listening to your surroundings. Psychologists say to remember to put your phone away for about an hour a day so you can get some peace. Elena Chavez, Carolina News.
Carolina News wants you to try and remember to put down your phone and enjoy time with your friends and family. And coming up,
one deli shop on Devine is rolling out something sweet for the holidays. We'll tell you more next.